Hey everyone, Kirk here and welcome back to Beyond the Brick. Today's video has me very excited because I get to take a look at some custom Marvel Lego replicas. Huge thanks to the good people of Reactor Builds for providing the parts and instructions to build these wonderful models we have here. Today we'll be taking a look at two custom models from Reactor Builds, Tony Stark's Mark III helmet and Arc Reactor. Both of these models are the latest edition of Reactor Builds' life-size replica collection and they're nothing short of amazing. Each build here was designed with collectors in mind and they also offer a bit of a challenge for builders throughout their experience. If you want to build any of the models seen in this review, you can do so by purchasing the entire kit, which comes with bricks, instructions, and lights over at BrickerBuilds.com. In most scenarios, I love to save the best for last, but this time around, I want to get straight into the action, starting with the Mark III helmet. Obviously, when taking a look at this thing, it's clear that it's very parts heavy, but packed with detail that brings it all to life. The entire build consists of 2,645 pieces and measures out at 12.3 inches high, 8.2 inches wide, and 11 inches deep. I care a lot about attention to detail, especially when it comes to replicas. Reactor Builds did an outstanding job of sculpting this model, and in my opinion, it captured the look of Iron Man's Mark III helmet with excellence from all angles. This was actually my very first time ever building a custom model, especially of this style, and let me just say, it was quite the experience. When building this thing, I really underestimated how much time it would take to piece it all together. There's just a bunch of intricate parts inside and out that help to keep it intact during the assembly. My word of advice for those intending to build this thing is take your time with it, perhaps watch a few Marvel movies or shows and take breaks if you need to. During my building experience, I found that the instructions for this and the Arc Reactor are actually quite easy to follow, which is important when building a model like this. You start the helmet from the ground and then work your way up, which ensures its stability in the end. Another thing I found was that there were some neat techniques used throughout this model for things like the ear plates, mouth, and eyes. Speaking of the eyes, these bad boys can actually light up. I think that the helmet is good with or without the lights, but the inclusion of them is definitely icing on the cake for me. The inside of the helmet is hollow, so you'll get to build a display stand to prop your helmet on and show it off in all of its brick-built glory. Although the helmet is hollow, keep in mind that it's solely for the purpose of display, so don't attempt to wear this at all because the feeling would be quite uncomfortable. The final piece here comes in the form of Tony Stark's Arc Reactor. Seeing how LEGO has been creating these replica sets for things like the Infinity Saga, I'm surprised we haven't gotten one of these yet. Reactor Builds' design captures the look of the real Arc Reactor quite well, so I think any Marvel fan who sees this would know exactly what it is. Tony Stark's Arc Reactor takes a total of 339 pieces to assemble, so this model won't be as lengthy compared to the Mark III helmet. In regards to the size though, this build is 7.1 inches high, 5.4 inches wide, and 8.1 inches deep. With a scale like this, I believe it makes a nice display to have at your desk or on a shelf of some other Marvel collectibles. In my experience, the building process was probably the simplest out of the two. You start with the base, move your way to the ring, and then finally you work on the reactor. What's cool about the reactor though is that it's not connected to the ring, so you can actually remove it and get a closer look at the details. When building the reactor portion of this model, you'll notice some nice parts usage, which is something to always appreciate. Overall, when putting it all together, the model looks close to the real thing. Things only become more tedious once it's time to install the lighting that brings the reactor to life, but Reactor Builds does a good job of explaining how to install it in their tutorial video. The lighting has 3 modes you can set it to using the pulse effect board. The first has a fast pulse, the second has a slower pulse, and then the third setting flickers. There will be some wiring left exposed from the lights when you complete the model, but when you think about it, it kind of fits in with the build. No matter which light mode you choose, it all makes for a fantastic model and a great companion to the Mark III helmet if you choose to get that as well. Each model here has something to offer for the fans of LEGO and Marvel who want to show off their love for these two worlds. I was truly impressed with the level of detail in each build because it shows just how much the Reactor Builds team cares about what they're delivering to the fans. Building something like the Mark III helmet does require a lot of patience, but it's such a rewarding feeling once it's finished, and the same goes for the Arc Reactor. While both of the models here are terrific, if I had to pick just one I like the most, it would definitely be the Arc Reactor. It's just a well-designed model and makes a nice piece to have for decoration at your desk or something like that. Now, I don't know what else Reactor Builds has up their sleeve for Marvel, but they can keep it coming because I'm in love with these. Perhaps someday we can get an Infinity Gauntlet or a Loki Scepter or maybe even Stormbreaker, which would be an epic build to have. I do hope you all enjoyed this review, and thanks once again to Reactor Builds for making this review possible. If you're interested in any of these builds, you can find them over on the Reactor Builds website along with many other builds across different themes. As always, this is Kirk signing off, and I'll catch you all later here on Beyond the Brick.